Home matters. Doing more than opening doors and putting signs in the yards, because your home matters, and so do you.
This episode of Home Matters is brought to you by Mary Gervais Brantley with Mortgages by MG, helping you get ready for your next move.
Thanks, Mary Gervais, for being here with me today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's talk. What the heck is the deal with the internet rate?
What the heck is the deal with internet rate? So a fun thing that I guess is on the internet are internet rates, right? So you or I can go Google, what's a rate, what's a mortgage rate, and then you have a whole bunch of online lenders that will sometimes advertise what looks like a really, really attractive interest rate, right? Which is always fun to kind of have to combat with when you do speak to somebody and they say, well, online told me I can get a 4%. And you're like, yeah, you probably could if you also want to pay an arm and a leg for that rate. Right. And typically most first-time home buyers don't necessarily have an arm and a leg to also just to give just to that interest rate. So that's kind of what that is when you do see, if you do Google, today's mortgage rates, and you do pull up something from, Bankrate, or let's say you do something like Mortgage News Daily, they will give an average rate, but it is a nationwide average. It is typically the averages from last week, and it is they take everything up and they average it out. So they're averaging out people that are buying down the rate, and they're also averaging it with the people that are not buying it down. They're also averaging it with the lower credit scores and the higher credit scores. So when you see a 6.1 on the internet or something, or let's say you see a 5.99 or something like that, that is a complete amalgamation of a whole bunch of stuff and averaged out.
Right.
Which you or me buying a house, our clients buying a house, they're one situation. It's one case. They're an individual, their own person, right? So you have to take into consideration their income, their credit score, their down payment, their purchase price. All of those things go into that person's unique situation. So it's hard to say, I can get you this rate based on a bajillion people's, maybe not a bajillion, maybe right, thousands of people's information, and correlate it to your specific situation.
Right.
So,
yeah. And good point. Because, you do talk to buyers, whether it be first-time home buyers or second, third, and they're like, oh, but I saw this rate. And like, well, you're going to need to talk to a lender.
Yeah.
First of all, that's not in my lane, and I'm going to stay in my lane.
We like that. I stay in my lane.
That's right. But first of all, to use a local lender that you can meet with or walk into their, place of business, ask questions, makes a world of difference.
For sure.
No matter what you're doing, whether it be refinance or new home or however. But they don't realize the fees and that get tacked on to those internet rate. Even if you're not buying it down, it's going to be more fees than it is. And that's just from staying in my lane. I mean, and that is something I can say beyond the shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
It looks good there. It looks, you get the bottom line on the day of closing, there's no backing out, and I'm not going to look your name.
It's
right.
Sometimes there's a bribe. I mean,
right.
There's different ways that online lenders can advertise those rates too. I mean, they can they'll have a higher, what we call an origination fee. So or it's an application fee, or it's a lender fee. That might be a $2,500 origination fee, whereas someone local might be $1,100, $1,200, $1,300. So there's always, you have to be able to compare apples to apples.
Right.
So what I always suggest is, sure, get a loan estimate. I'll give you my loan estimate, and then we'll go line by line. Right. And I'll show you where there's savings, where there's not savings. And if this deal over here is just too good to be true, I mean, and it looks good on paper. And I'm like, okay, that's a better deal than I can give you. You have my blessing.
Right.
To take it.
There probably doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, absolutely. But
well, thanks for explaining the internet rate and how crazy that can be.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope it helped.
And by Angela Barrett at HomeMattersSC.com. Building on what matters to you.